In the 19th chapter of Exodus, Yahweh or Jehovah lets Moses know he will come to him in a thick cloud upon Mount Sinai, so the people hear when Yahweh or Jehovah speaks with Moses. It was to make Moses much more credible in his people's eyes. On the third day, in the morning, Yahweh or Jehovah descends on it in a thick cloud and calls Moses up to the top of the mount. God reveals to him the 10 Commandments and other laws. In the 31st chapter, Moses receives 2 tables of testimony, tables of stone, written with the finger of God. Thomas Doane, in his book Bible Myths and Their Parallels in Other Religions, points out to the resemblance between Moses and Prophet Zoroaster, the founder of Zoroastrianism, an ancient Persian religion. Zoroastrians believe that their religion was revealed by their supreme god, called Ahura Mazda, or Wise Lord, to a priest called Zarathustra. According to the book, The Teachings of Zoroaster, imbued from his infancy with deep philosophical and religious thoughts for the welfare and well-being of mankind, this ancient prophet of Bactria derived his holy inspiration after 30 years of divine meditation on a secluded and inaccessible mountain top of Ushidarena. Thus fortified in communion with Ahura Mazda, Spitama Zarathustra proceeded to the city of Balkh, at that time the capital of the king of Iran, Kavavishtaspa, clothed in pure white flowing vestments, bearing with him the sacred fire, Adar Burzin Mer, and a staff, or scepter, made of a cypress tree. The sage of antiquity appeared before the court of Kavavishtaspa. By persuasion and argument, he unfolded his religious mission and proclaimed the mandate of Ahura in order to elevate the ancient faith of the Aryas to its lofty and intellectual purity of monotheism. According to Avesta Vendidat, their holy scripture, the first mortal with whom Ahura Mazda did converse was Yima, son of Vivangat. Ahura Mazda wanted to appoint Yima as his preacher and the bearer of his law. Yima replied he was not born and taught to be the preacher and the bearer of Ahura Mazda's law. The philosophy of Zoroastrianism is based on 3 principles: good thought, good work, and good deed. The teachings of Zoroaster say, having made men invulnerable to diseases, Zoroaster proceeded to look after their morals. His moral philosophy deals with 2 attributes inherent in man, the good mind and the evil mind. These 2 are allegorically termed Vohumana, the good mind, and Akamana, the evil mind. Thoughts, words, and deeds are liable to the influence of either Vohumana, the good mind, or Akamana, the evil mind. Zoroaster has summed up the whole of his moral philosophy in 3 expressive words: Humata, good thoughts; Hukta, good words; and Hvarshta, good deeds. The way to heaven is laid through these 3 mystic avenues, and the seeker of them is born through with the self-consciousness of having spent his allotted span of life to the use and furtherance of God's good creation and to his eternal glory. Turn yourself not away from 3 best things: good thought, good word, and good deed. By good thoughts, a Zoroastrian is able to concentrate his mind in divine contemplation of the Creator and live in peace, unity, and harmony with his fellow brethren. For the love of his fellow men, he is enjoined to protect them in danger, to help them in need and want, to raise their understanding in education, to enable them to enter into holy bonds of matrimony, and to the best of his resources to enhance the prosperity and welfare of the community, of his brotherhood in particular, and of all mankind in general. By good words, he is enjoined not to break his contract with others, to observe honesty and integrity in all commercial transactions, faithfully to pay back any borrowed money at the risk of being called a thief, to prevent hurting the feelings of others, and to engender feelings of love and charity in the Mazdayasnian fraternity. By good deeds he is directed to relieve the poor, deserving and undeserving, to irrigate and cultivate the soil, to provide food and fresh water in places where needed, to encourage matrimony, and to devote the surplus of his wealth in charity to the well-being and prosperity of his co-religionists and others. The Egyptians worshipped Thot, represented in a human form, with an ibis head. He was the god of the moon, writing, science, magic, wisdom, the author of the sacred literature. He was also known as Lord of Divine Words, Just like Ahura Mazda, he was associated with wisdom. Brian Brown, in his book The Wisdom of the Egyptians, mentions Thot in the 5th chapter, but he calls him by a Greek name Hermes. Thot, according to this text, graved his knowledge on stone. Such was all-knowing Hermes, who saw all things, and seeing understood, and understanding had the power both to disclose and to give explanation. For what he knew, he graved on stone. Yet though he graved them on stone, he hid them mostly, keeping sure silence, though in speech, that every younger age of cosmic time might seek for them. And thus, with charge unto his kinsmen of the gods to keep sure watch, he mounted to the stars. Thot is also mentioned in the book Essential Tarot Writings by Donald Tyson. It is commonly assumed that tarot comes from Egypt. It was Kor the Gebelin who fixed the origin of the tarot in ancient Egypt. It was he who identified it as a symbolic book of Thot, the Egyptian god of wisdom and magic. In the word tarot he found the Egyptian root, words for the royal way, taros. The tarot, he believed, was a sacred book of the Egyptian priesthood, in which was concealed under a cloak of symbolism all their esoteric wisdom. When it comes to Greece, Minos was a mythical king in the island of Crete, the son of Zeus and Europa. He was famous for creating a successful code of laws. Another legend says that King Minos came to Dictan cave every 9 years, when the orbits of the moon and the sun converged. There he met his father Zeus and adopted new laws to govern Crete. Nowadays this cave is known under the name the Cave of Zeus or the Dictan Cave, and is a tourist attraction. All of those stories and myths share one common denominator: law and wisdom come from gods. The ancient Greeks believed that gods resided on Mount Olympus. Gods revealed themselves to people chosen by them, like they were looking for a gem among mortals to pass knowledge on to them. There was a reason for the ancients to attribute certain skills to gods. Each god and goddess ruled certain realm. Jehovah or Yahweh, God of Israel, also favored particular people and chose them to fulfill his mission. When Moses went up the mountain, others were not even allowed to touch it, because as Jehovah or Yahweh said, "And thou shalt set bounds unto the people round about, saying, Take heed to yourselves, that ye go not up into the mount, or touch the border of it. Whosoever toucheth the mount shall be surely put to death." What caught my attention while reading the myth about the origins of Dionysus was the similarity between Zeus and Jehovah or Yahweh. A simple mortal could not bear to look at both of them and survive. Dionysus was the son of Zeus and Semele, who was a mortal woman. Zeus visited her many times. Well, the purpose is obvious. When Semele became pregnant, Hera found out and, jealous of her husband's affair, set out a plan to punish Semele. Hera appeared in a different form to Semele, and they became friends. Semele later confided to the goddess about her affair with Zeus, but Hera made her doubt about it. So Semele decided to ask Zeus to grant her a wish, and he took an oath on the river Styx that he would give her anything. She asked that he appear to her in all his glory. Zeus was forced to comply. However, mortals could not look upon Zeus without bursting into flames, which is what happened to Semele. Zeus managed to save the unborn baby by sewing it inside his thigh. A few months later, god Dionysus was born, who managed to save his mother from the underworld and brought her to Mount Olympus, where she became the goddess Dione. Jehovah or Yahweh in Exodus says, "And the Lord said unto Moses, I will do this thing also, that thou hast spoken, for thou hast found grace in my sight, and I know thee by name. And he said, I beseech thee, shew me thy glory. And he said, I will make all my goodness pass before thee, and I will proclaim the name of the Lord before thee, and will be gracious to whom I will be gracious, and will shew mercy on whom I will shew mercy. And he said, Thou canst not see my face, for there shall no man see me and live. And the Lord said, Behold, there is a place by me, and thou shalt stand upon a rock. And it shall come to pass, while my glory passeth by, that I will put thee in a cleft of the rock, and will cover thee with my hand while I pass by. And I will take away my hand, and thou shalt see my back parts, but my face shall not be seen." Zeus and Yahweh could reveal themselves to people in a form different from their real one. Yahweh as a burning bush, Hera a simple mortal. In the end, Yahweh, in the 18th chapter of the book of Genesis, appeared to Abraham as a man. And the Lord appeared unto him in the plains of Mamre, and he sat in the tent door in the heat of the day. And he lifted up his eyes, and looked, and lo, 3 men stood by him. And when he saw them, he ran to meet them from the tent door, and bowed himself toward the ground, and said, My Lord, if now I have found favour in thy sight, pass not away, I pray thee, from thy servant. Let a little water, I pray you, be fetched, and wash your feet, and rest yourselves under the tree. And I will fetch a morsel of bread, and comfort ye your hearts. After that ye shall pass on. For therefore are ye come to your servant. And they said, So do, as thou hast said. Even Sargon the Great, the first ruler of the Akkadian Empire, mentions the love of goddess Ishtar, who was also the goddess of war, not only love. We learn from a Neo-Assyrian text from the 7th century BC, purporting to be Sargon's autobiography. Aki, the drawer of water, took me as his son and reared me. Aki, the drawer of water, appointed me as his gardener. While I was a gardener, Ishtar granted me her love, and for 4 years I exercised kingship. Oddly enough, Sargon started to conquer new territories and created an empire. It is possible he had Ishtar to thank for it because he spread her cult. Yahweh also helped his people, Israel. For example, he helped Joshua during a battle when the sun stood still.